Hello, hope you're doing okay. Sarah from Craft here. In this brief video, we're going to be taking a look at editing images for a white background. Now, you've probably seen this used a lot on e-commerce platforms or perhaps on social media. And if you have the right tools, it can be pretty easy to do. So let's take you through a few examples and we can talk about it in more detail. We tend to shoot on iPhones at Craft, but of course you can use any device really. For us, it's as much about taking really quick and efficient photographs versus the time that it would take to do a full setup and use a professional camera. So there's an economy of speed when using a smartphone and being able to edit directly on the screen as you look at the object. So with these earrings, you can see that I've applied brightness, contrast, black point, a little bit of sharpness and definition. Particularly when you're looking at jewelry, it's always good to bring out some of that additional sharpness or definition, just so that the pieces really have that sense of tactility and texture on the page. We use a folio lightbox at Craft to establish a good base level and a consistency to the backgrounds for the images. And then on top of this, we apply a fairly consistent suite of edits. It varies slightly depending on the materials of the object, but in a very standard sense, we tend to use brightness, contrast, black point, exposure, sharpness, and definition. The reason we look at applying a suite of edits onto these objects is really around looking at translating the three-dimensional form to the two-dimensional image. So we try to enhance some of that sharpness and definition particularly, so the work itself bounces off the page. The other reason we so love using iPhones to do our photography and editing is really about the speed of the editing process. In shooting on something like a smartphone, just the tactile kind of qualities of using a phone where your thumb can really quickly scroll over a whole series of edits and you can really easily see and check the white meter on the object allows us to process many more images than would be possible if we used a professional camera setup. So we might do something like 300 photographs in 2 hours and then edit those as well. And for us, that's the right kind of formula because of how many fabulous makers that we represent. But it is always, of course, about finding what's right for you and what's going to work for you and for your business. So here's a little before and after for this finished edit, and hopefully you can see how the piece tends to stand out on a page a little bit more, and we've still managed to capture all of that lovely detail in the vase as well. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. And remember, if you are looking for any more tips or support from Craft, you can always visit the Makers portal.